Ever since the 2017 Eastern Conference Final, the Ottawa Senators have been on the absolute pain train. From losing multiple franchise players to coughing up a critical high first-round draft pick for a guy who wasn't even on the team for 2 years, to being so bad that you weren't anywhere close to playoff hockey ever since that Chris Kunitz knuckle puck went in. And apart from Thomas Chabot, having to basically reconstruct the team from scratch. And after successfully doing that, it's been a few years now that Pierre Dorion has been preaching that the rebuild is done and that the Sens are entering their competitive window. And still they don't have a playoff appearance to their name with this core. But this year felt different. New owner, new goalie, which if you've been watching Senators hockey the past few years, man was that ever an Achilles heel for this team. The return of Josh Norris, which as we saw last night, is so critical for this team. A Tim Stützle who's no longer a question mark like, oh, how good is this kid? No, he's a superstar and he proved it last year. He's continuing it this season. An absolutely dominant Brady Tkachuk. And probably the biggest secret weapon of them all, that defense core led by Sanderson, Chychrun, and Chabot looks absolutely terrifying. Oh, and a guy in Tarasenko who is an absolute pure goal scorer with an amazing shot. They haven't had that type of player since Danny Heedley? And they've showed it in their first 4 games. I mean, yes, that loss against Carolina hurts, but they put up a fight against a really good Hurricanes team, and then they've just routed their next 3 opponents. Everything's clicking, and the Sens look great. And for a fan base who's had to endure some really rough years since the 2017 playoff run, I want them to get back in the playoffs, especially with this team who's so fun and dynamic to watch. But for the past few years, man, it's felt like either the Sens will give you a little tease and a taste like, oh, we're ready to make the playoffs, and then completely drop off, or just sewer their chances at the playoffs from the very beginning. So I'm genuinely worried they're going to let us down again. I want to believe that this team is different, and man, do they look different. But last year, after losing their first 2 games, they spanked their next 4 opponents and showed that they were a good team, and everything was looking good in Sens land, and then they followed that up with a stretch that was just horrendous. And it sunk their season. And the year before that, which is the one where Pierre Dorion said the rebuild is done, they just straight up came out of the gates flat and non-competitive and rode that all the way through the season. The only good team that I think they've beaten this season was Tampa Bay, and there was no Vasilevsky in that. It was Matt Tompkins, and that's no disrespect to him, but him and Johansson have made for an awful combo for Tampa so far. Now, I want to believe that this is the year the Sens are actually going to get over the hump, and they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be consistently good throughout the season. But I'd be lying to you if I told you I wasn't worried about them just completely crapping the bed again. I'm just hoping they don't let us down again. I mean, they've got the pieces. That defense core, like I said, looks incredible, and that's going to be the lifeblood of the team for me. Those 2 goalies in Korpisalo and Forsberg should really do a good job of holding down the fort together, and the firepower up front is some of the best in the league at this point. But I'm skeptical, and I need to see how they play for the next few games before I can really hop on here and be like, yeah, okay, the Sens are good. Obviously, I want to know what you think about this. The comments down below. Are they going to keep this going and make the playoffs, or are they going to be the Sens of the last few years where they just completely piss it away? Let me know. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.